What is going on, everybody? Let me go ahead and change this up real quick. Test, test, test. I'm sorry, headphone users, right now. Just give me 1 second. All right, test, test. I think we should be all good. But let's go ahead and talk about what's actively trending up. Congrats to all those that held DGAS. Obviously, I ended up selling DGAS one day too early. I called it out. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. But yeah, so right now, I mean, we're actually seeing a pretty nice pattern on drip as well. So if we look at the 1 day, 1 minute chart for drip, we could see this uptrend pattern that it's been showing bounce off the bottom VWAP. During pre-market hours, it tried to trend up. Right now, it's trying to hold above the middle VWAP and top VWAP, which is something that I find very attractive. Also, right now for DGAS itself, DGAS was able to gap up from all the way up from 27.50 all the way up to highs of 29.30 of where it's at right now. So that's over 6% profit. That would have been nice to wake up to, to say the least. That would have put me at I don't even know. I think $1,600 profit on top of what I made, so about $2,100 altogether in my position. But I think the really cool thing about what it is that I did on this position was, I mean, first of all, I covered green yesterday, right? And I was able to identify a pattern that ended up performing the way that I expected it to. I just might have sold a little bit too early, or could have held a little bit more of my position. And again, remember that yesterday it ended up opening red, but then ended up recovering. So just know that it was just because it was actively trending down below this EMA that I was kind of just like, I wanted to minimize risk. So that was my breakdown and my thought process on why I wanted to, do what it is that I did. But yeah, I mean, it's all part of the game, right? It's all part of making sure that I stay green, that I stay consistent, and yeah. But regardless, whatever I say, it kind of does suck that I ended up getting out a little bit too early. There's no question about that. But there's nothing that I can do about that. It's all about moving forward, and yeah, kind of going from there. So I want to hear how some of you guys feel about electrician for hire. Me too. I wanted to be careful, and that's what I would encourage. I think a lot of us that ended up taking a position on drip as of yesterday and today, at least we can all say we ended up closing a green position, right? So I did see a couple people in the chat saying that, hey, I'm gonna wait till $30 for me to sell, for like you guys to sell and close out your position. Yes, that could be a goal, but also keep in mind, what is it that DGAS has to do as it's pulling down or pulling back for you to be influenced to want to cover profits? Does that make sense? So let's say that this thing starts to pull back and then drops below the middle VWAP. Are you still going to want to hold, although it's showing signs of a descending pattern? Make sure you take that into consideration as it continues to potentially curl, right, or reverse. So just something that you might want to take into consideration. So as you guys could see with natural gas, I mean, we're seeing an overall descending pattern. I was looking at the different charts on the 1 day 5 minute. I was looking at the 5 day 5 minute. I was looking at everything. I wanted to look at if there were any patterns that I was missing out on, any signs of there to be a potential reversal or where it would catch on. So I was looking at the 180-day chart, and I was just trying to see hey, where can this potentially catch at? And I don't know if you guys have any ideas on where some potential supports are. A very consistent pattern that I see is this pattern that we see right now, where it builds this little reversal, pushes up, has a sell-off, and then sells off for a decent amount, and then tends to recover again, and then has that sell-off again, and then tends to recover again, has that sell-off again, and then tends to recover again. So again, that pattern is pretty consistent. It doesn't usually sell off for a very long nor consistent period of time. So kind of what I'm looking for is for any sign of a reversal. I'm also looking at what I was looking at is I'm looking for a day trade today. So that's really what I'm trying to keep my eyes out for. So I'm trying to see if I can catch drip from the middle VWAP and bounce to the top VWAP, but these margins are very small. So I was looking at DGAS for a potential day trade, but the margins are just a little bit small currently based on what's going on. And what I mean by that is the margin, I see there to be a resistance at around $30, and from where it's at right now to 29, what is that, 29.20 pretty much. to the price point. So again, it comes down to the opportunity cost. Like right now, DGAS isn't so-called a good deal anymore because it's a little bit more on the overbought side, right? The range from $28 to $30. It's not so much a good deal anymore. It's more that it's actively trending up and that, you know, it can continue to trend up. So that's kind of what it has going for it right now. So there's a form of risk involved by it not being such a good deal because it has, you know, a pretty decent margin to sell off. But based on consistent patterns on like a 10-day analysis, it does still have quite a bit for it to continue to push up. So that's kind of what I'm looking out for, trying to see if it's going to continue this uptrend pattern. It has like a little resistance at around 29.25, trying to see for a more solid break. We could see that drip is actively trying to push up as well, which I find pretty attractive. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, even from this, what it's just covered right now, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that's about 3%. So it's definitely starting to push up. I actually like the pattern a little bit more on drip now. It's not descending as aggressively. It does not mean that it's a buy, right? It does 100% does not mean that it's a buy, but it's definitely trying to reverse, which is something that it hasn't really been doing. We want to make sure that this pattern holds, and again, it has to hold for longer than 4 hours for it to actually make an influence on this 4-hour chart on the 180-day analysis. But we could also see the potential reversal pattern that it has going on. So again, does it mean that it's going to reverse and come all the way back down to the SMA indicator? Not necessarily. It could mean that it can curl and then pull back, bounce on this EMA, and then push back up, which means that for ticker symbol drip, that we could be seeing like, you know, a push up, it'll recover to about the EMA and then get rejected again and continue to descend. So just know that you are still trading a descending pattern when you are trading something like drip at its current state. So we could see that the MACD indicator is starting to curve back in. That's on the 1-day, 1-minute chart, which I don't find to be that effective. Let's see where this is at. No, everything is still pointing up. That's the thing. I mean, it's still showing signs of an uptrend pattern. Do you guys see this like slight little resistance that we could see at around 29.25 and this continuous uptrend pattern? It's almost like this bull flag pattern. I need to get some form of rejection that it's going to continue to sell off. Do you see how there's a lot of consolidation that's happening right around this price point? It's really trying to hold up above, and I don't want to get in and then natural gas end up pushing right back up, and then I end up I ended up buying at the peak, right? That's not what we want. So let's actually see. All right. I'll set my alert on drip. Let's see. I'm going to move this thing over just so I could speak with the team. I'm just going to get an idea in mind. If I end up wanting to take a position, let's see. Okay. Do you guys see how it's starting to kind of consolidate here? So I don't want to necessarily get in and then it end up being at the very top and then it continues to push right back down. So guess my pull back to the green SMA. Yep. So we can look at that. So yeah, guys, just definitely. So no, I wouldn't say that it would. I mean, it can, but in reality, I don't think the sell-off can be or will be that dramatic. Yeah. Yeah, it's still pushing up. Definitely still pushing up. I'm trying to see which one offers more reversal potential. We did get did have a slight resistance right around here, at around 870. Let's see. I don't know if any of you guys live in Arizona, but my goodness, my lips keep getting like super chapped. I don't know if it's like it's starting to become like a little bit more dry, and yeah, I don't find it too attractive. I'm gonna go to Forex Grid real quick. I just want to follow up with them. So Diaz and drip. All right. You're from New England and it snowed today. You have too much salt in your body. I agree. Cut the salt. I know. No, I definitely need to eat a little bit healthier. You see a 100%, yeah. So we definitely do see a bear flag pattern on natural gas. But the thing about natural gas is that let's see. The thing about the natural gas ETF is that I mean it is showing a lot of consolidation, and its previous patterns within the past couple of days have been pretty consistent. So yeah, I do see that drip is making a push up. Let's see, there we go. Do you guys see this rejection? So this is one of two things that usually can tend to happen. So we called out the overall resistance right around here, right? It was showing signs of this like bull flag pattern with the EMA line being the ascending uptrend or support, and then all of a sudden we see it get rejected and then it starts trending down. It doesn't mean 100% that it's going to come all the way back down. It could just come back down and then try to recover again. But that's why I just didn't want to buy at the very top because of the rejection that it was showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my alert here, just when it goes at or above, and it could 100%. I mean, the pattern right now for DGAS is very strong. So let's actually add some studies real quick. Edit studies. Let's go to VWAP. Frick. There we go, it's picking up. Side. All right. All right. Okay. I like that. Thank you, Chad. So love the Learn Plan Profit course. I'm obsessed with it. I'm really happy to hear that. I don't know. Hey, I actually did not announce it or put it in the announcement section. But if you guys have time, in the bonus video section, so watch out right now for DGAS. In the bonus video section for the Learn Plan Profit lesson library, I uploaded, I think, 2 new videos. One was talking about, it's about saving money and the importance of that. It's kind of a short video. It's about a 6-minute video. The other one's a 9-minute video, and that one talks about how it goes. They both go hand in hand. So just be sure there's 2 new videos in the Learn Plan Profit lesson library, and they're both under the bonus section. So be sure to check that out. And then yeah, so you guys all have access to it. Wow, drip is not stopping. These pullbacks that drip is having are so small. Oh, we could see ticker symbol X getting rejected. Watch out for, I think today's going to be a red day for X, and then we could see a potential reversal tomorrow. Yeah, I definitely did push up quite a bit, so congrats all those that traded drip, X. That's not it. Forgot the P. Wow. Since we've been talking about this thing has pushed up from, what was it? Right here from the 50s all the way up to the 80s. It's just, I want a pullback confirmation. We can see the RSI showing that it is overextended. We could see the MACD curling back in. Oh, hope you have a good day, man. Hope you have a good meeting. Thank you again for tuning in. I love that. Followed my rule out at 3% today on my pick. My goodness, you're already done? It's been like 24 minutes. Congrats. Danny, all right, so you're in right now at 874 for drip itself. Let's just make sure we keep a very close eye on the pattern. Yeah, these are, I like the setup that drip has. My goodness, Diaz is really struggling. There we go, Diaz is back at that bull flag pattern. Do you guys see that? Isn't that so cool? I like really struggles to break a resistance. I like that. Yep, just trying to be patient right now. So both patterns look pretty solid. The only reason that I'm trying to focus a little bit more on drip is because the margin of profit, I think, on drip is a little bit more. So let's talk about this. Let's actually break both of them down. So drip offers, I think, a larger margin of profit, but with larger margin, it is also actively descending, right? So it's actively descending under the 180-day chart. So there's a risk that comes with investing in that. Although the margin of profit is more, so is the risk. Now with DGAS, it doesn't offer such a huge margin, right? From $29.20 to $30, it's about a little bit over 3%, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing about that one is that it's actively trending up above the 180-day EMA. So what makes more sense to you? Do you want to be a higher risk, higher reward, or a lower risk, consistent or more conservative reward as well? But again, both patterns don't have to confirm. So that's the thing that I'm kind of like I don't know, Hello. I agree. Drip is struggling. It's showing more of a peak formation. So I think so it's showing a curling pattern, right? I want to see a little bit of a pullback. So let's look at /CL. Let's see if there's any reversal there. Yeah, so it is pulling back a little bit. Again, it has a support right around where the bottom VWAP is at. So that's why I didn't want to get ahead of myself for that specific pattern. But let's look at /NG. Yep, and there we go. We can see just that really fine line of support. Why is that thing so solid there? Yes, no, but it's broken it multiple times. That's so weird. Oh. Did you guys see that? So let's do that. Do you see this bounce? Do you see how it's validated this SMA line? Do you see this potential reversal? This is why it's so important to understand. Like a drip. Let's see if it starts to descend. I'm going to set my alert if there's a break below $31. It's not because of the price point itself, but it's because of where that SMA line is at. So we could see a potential reversal pattern right now for Gush, and for this thing to start curling back up, and then that means that drip is going to get rejected. And then look, that's exactly where drip has been getting rejected on the 5-minute chart. Do you see that? Boom, 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 boom. On why it would make sense for it to get rejected. Let's wait for a confirmation. We could see it struggling to break above 875. There's no question about that. So then that can put Gush in favor for a potential reversal pattern. And looking at the 1-day, 1-minute chart, it definitely has that potential. So what I'm going to do here also is going to set an alert for a potential recovery. And how much margin does it have to cover? But what's the reality of this thing actually being able to fully cover? And then let's look at /CL. It's definitely showing signs of a peak formation, right? There's no question about that. So let's make sure that we take that into consideration. So just because it's gotten rejected by that or bounced for Gush at that support before doesn't mean 100% that it has to. So drip is curling. It definitely is pulling back, which is good. Still holding drip since last week. I've been averaging down. Are you still holding it? Nope. Yeah, I'll definitely look at eBay right now. Give me one quick. Nope, I'll do your breakdown. That's more important. Okay, so this is eBay.com. Showing signs of this potential reversal pattern. So right now you can see that it's pushed up, it's pulled back, and it's making higher lows. Also it has its earnings coming out pretty soon. I personally don't think that the opportunity cost is worth it. Do you see how it's making higher lows ever since it peaked out? So we want to make sure that it catches here and that it confirms more of an uptrend pattern and potentially even holds above the SMA indicator. So I think it has a lot of time still for it to continue, right? The previous pattern on why this thing was showing signs of an uptrend pattern was when it validated the SMA as a support. Right now, we still need to give it time for it to even push up above $42 for it to validate and continue this previous pattern that we saw. That scared the crap out of me. But there goes DGAS. But yeah, so I would wait a little bit more on that specific ticker itself. So there we go. I'm going to do a small buy. My goodness. Freaking crap. Too slow. Let's see. There it goes. I missed out on it. So do you guys see how quick that thing pushed up? Okay. All right. Let's do this thing. Oh, and there goes drip. Drip. Bouncing and validating that. So that means that Gush got rejected. Yep, and Gush definitely did get rejected. So again, just because it's bounced there before doesn't mean 100% that it has to again. And this is actually a really good sign for all those that are holding drip because you want to see this thing break that pattern for Gush. So yeah. All right. All right. I like that, Will. So happy to hear that. I like that. I like that. Nice, nice, nice. Move this over. Okay, that's actually a pretty good question. I thought I explained that when it comes down to overall patterns. So this is by, can you help me pronounce your name? Is it as a Gia Hang. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I'm sorry if I'm chopping it up. I don't mean to be rude, but so the reason that I choose to trade, so there's questions like, why do I trade JDST more than I trade JNUG? And I've talked about the patterns on JDST and that they're more horizontal or ascending uptrend patterns, and I find that very attractive. I want to invest in something that's usually actively trending up. Same thing with I choose to trade DGAS like this more than UGAS. And the reason why is although UGAS has recently been trending up, based on its overall long-term patterns on the 180-day chart, it's usually, what's it called? It's usually DGAS that trends up on the 180-day chart. So it has a more consistent uptrend pattern. So if we look at this, it's definitely a more horizontal pattern than investing in UGAS, right? More of a descending pattern. So again, looking at JDST, definitely more of a horizontal pattern, better than, in my opinion, descending pattern. Although you guys have to understand that it was previously always getting rejected by this SMA line until previous patterns, right? So that's why I like to focus on stocks that are usually actively trending up, and that makes sense to me. And because of that, I choose to take a position where it is that I do. So, that's because I choose to trade these series of ETFs that are more, I think, aggressively pushing up or offer more of a consistent horizontal pattern. So the patterns make much more sense to me, right? And you choose to invest in what makes more sense to you and what you find to be more attractive. So that's why. That's so cool. So Charles is saying 2 weeks in LPP and I've made my money back. Boom, boom, boom. I like that. Thanks, Charles. Congrats on your trades. So what I think that the drip position is a hold. I wouldn't necessarily call the drip position a hold. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I'll cover that question in just a second. So the reason that I still wouldn't find, it has to be because drip is still showing signs of a descending pattern, and one green day isn't going to make the biggest difference, right? So, if it actively pushes up, that's great and all, but you just have to understand that, there's a lot of potential that drip still has to get rejected by this EMA line, right? It's been previously rejected. It's gotten pretty close to that EMA line, but then it continues to get rejected and continues to sell off. So if you're up on something like this, then it would make sense on why you might potentially want to cover profits. And then when it continues to reverse back up, just again ask yourself, opportunity cost. It still has a lot of margin to cover. Why be greedy and have to hold something over the weekend when it can continue to descend, and then you'll have to bag hold this stock because you went from green to red. And again, that's one of the worst feelings. So don't be afraid to cover profits. If you want to take on the risk of holding this over the night for the potential for profit that it has to make, then yeah, the potential for profit is definitely there, but so is the risk, right? The risk becomes much greater. So it just depends on your style of investing and what you feel more comfortable with. Izzy saying, since the LPP, I've been able to quit my day job and live solely on trading. That's super sweet. Super happy to hear that. Can I do an analysis on TVIX? And fault doors. I mean, I've 100% been there. There's especially when you feel like you understand the market a little bit better, and you just. It's just the patience factor, right? Getting in a little bit before the confirmation and stuff like that. And I know sometimes you want to try to get the best deal on the stock, but without the overall confirmation. And I've been there. So as long as you understand what what you can improve on, 100%, you have years, right, to master and continue to improve yourself as a trader. So just note that some people learn quicker than others. It did not take, I did not learn very quick, right? I had to teach myself. So because of that, just know that you're already still doing better than I am. So I just want to remind you that. Okay, so let's go ahead and I can break down. So I'm going to set an alert real quick for there to be a break here. And then if there's a break below the support, I'll set a break below here. I just want to stay up to date. But someone's asking me to break down TVIX. So TVIX looks like it's trending up on the 1-day, 1-minute chart. Looking at that 180-day analysis, I've broken this one down already, guys. Right now, it is trying to trend up, but again, it's been rejected by this EMA line before. Yes, it does look like it's showing this curling pattern, right? The EMA line is definitely curling. The MACD is starting to point back up. That's great and all, but it's still actively trending down. Confirmation is key, and as of now, if you plan on trading it and you see intraday potential, 100%. I mean, it's trading in between the SMA and the top VWAP. That makes sense. So that's margin of profit. Just know that that's not going to be a swing trade. It's still actively trending down. So just take that into consideration. I already broke down CY. Someone asked me to break it down again. I literally broke CY down, I think, earlier within this live stream. So CY is getting rejected. It's having a pretty decent sell-off, and it's pretty close to its earnings. So it looked like it hit a peak. It was showing this curling pattern yesterday. So that's something that you could have, like, seen. With that understanding, right now it's not a buy, right? There's no reversal pattern. EMA line is still pushing down. And again, look at its previous patterns and what usually happened for you to get a confirmation that it would continue to reverse. That's pretty much it. So let's see. All right. What do you think about X? What's the support? Again, please do your own analysis. X is actively trending down. Guys, like, you guys need to become familiar on doing your own analysis. X is completely actively trending down, right? It's trading intraday in between the middle VWAP and bottom VWAP. Descending pattern. Looking at the 180-day chart, it's not hard to see that it's a descending pattern. You have to wait for the bounce, wait for the reversal, and wait for, for it to perform the way that we expect it to. We have to wait for it either to confirm this EMA line or continue to sell off and then reverse from there. So again, it's just a patience factor. Right? I know, me too. Okay, Janky Patel, you're telling me to break down AABA. What is it that you see in AABA? So I see it that it's actively trending up. I see that it's based on previous patterns it used to hold above this SMA line. It's not doing that anymore. So now the margin of profit is from the EMA line to the SMA line, which is about 3.8%. So what makes this, and this is going to have to be a swing trade because this is a very slow moving stock, and based on what I'm seeing, it also doesn't have the best volume. But what would make this better than, like, let's say DGAS? DGAS all intraday can offer that margin. So I can look at, like, the 5-day, 5-minute chart for DGAS itself, and from the SMA line all the way up to the $30 resistance, it offers about that same margin. But I could do this all in one day. And this thing is actively trending up with no resistance. So why would you want to focus on something like that that isn't as attractive as DGAS? Like, I want to know what influenced you to find that ticker so attractive. What's going on, Serge? Appreciate that. Tim, this is actually a much better call out. For all those that are trying to call out something that might potentially reverse, it's not calling something out as like, hey, I see value in it right now. Just simply calling it out as in, like, hey, HTZ is falling into a buy zone. Extremely easy to understand. Waiting for the reconfirmation of the uptrend. Extremely easy to understand, right? What the heck is that? Ooh. Drip is starting to pull back a little bit. Watch out for that, guys. So HTZ is pulling back, 180-day analysis. We could see. I would be on the lookout for this though, because we do see this SMA line showing more of a descending pattern and also lower highs as well. So as long as you understand that, do you see how it's showing more of like a long-term descending pattern? So I think that it could continue to drop down to like maybe $18, and then it would reverse from there. So just keep a lookout out for that. So drip is definitely pulling back. So let's look at the 1-day, 1-minute chart. Let's see if there's any break of pattern or any reversal. There is obviously a break of pattern intraday, but let's see if it actually catches. I mean, you could try to catch here and then continue to push right back up. So let's make sure that we're patient and that we understand kind of what's going on. So that's all set up. If you watch the course, it's all set up and it's under drawing tools right here, and it's called Trendline. Please complete the entire course before you start trading. You need to complete the entire course. I added a new section into the course that instructs you to complete the entire course before even getting started in trading, before you start asking all these questions. Start completing the entire course. That is like a 100% recommendation that I need to encourage you guys to do, because too many people are not working on the course and just starting to trade. They just watch the first couple of videos. That's not how it works. Drip on that dip. We got Arturo. We got ourselves a wrapper. Yeah, so we have someone that doesn't like the ticker drip right now. 100% understand. It was actively trending up, and again, when there's a break of pattern, that's why you have to be able to take action and you know, cut or cover profits quickly. There's no question that when it was actively trending up between the middle view up and top view up, look at that margin, right? Middle view up to about where I ended up breaking the pattern. That was about a 3.63% pattern intraday that it offered. So yes, it's starting to get rejected. We could see if there's a bounce and then it breaks again above the EMA. And if it doesn't and it continues to get rejected, again, just try to focus on bull patterns. Just bull patterns and things are actively trending up, even intraday or long term. So we could also see that gold is actively pushing up. So that's pretty nice there. APA currently down. We're seeing a slight little pullback, which is expected for APA. Very consistent uptrend pattern on this one. I would keep a good eye out for this one for those that are looking for consistent uptrend patterns. So there's this like reversal that it's showing. The EMA line is starting to become very horizontal. What I want to see is /NG and seeing what's kind of going on here. So yeah. Sweet. Thank you, Don. No, I don't think I've actually traded that, so I'll have to look into it. I see what you're saying. Yeah, because the natural gas reports come out today. So looking at previous patterns, dang, drip is dropping. No question about that. There's a lot of consolidation that's happening on this. I'm not liking it. Not liking it one bit. All right, guys. I'm going to set my alerts and then I'll follow up with you guys on how things end up going. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see. Yeah, there's a slight little pullback happening with Diaz as well as with Drip that we're showing signs of a bullish pattern in the morning, but definitely getting rejected now. So this one's definitely getting rejected. That was why we called out, to watch out and keep a very close eye on the reversal for Gush, and it looks like it's performing out pretty well. We called out the pattern for the 5-day, 5-minute chart and the potential reversal that it had here, and it looks like it played out pretty well. So I'm glad that we were able to identify that, and it's still actively trending up, and it did end up recovering quite a bit. It's already up 3.1%. My goodness, I definitely went on the wrong end, but still trying to see what ends up happening with Drip. We'll figure out in the next 12 minutes what happens with these natural gas reports. I'll keep you guys up to date with anything that ends up happening. Hey Ricky, I'm struggling when to take a position when it comes down to confirmation. Let's say that drip goes above the 1-day 1-minute chart at above 870. So Andrew, there's two things that you have to ask yourself that we've talked about before when it comes down to confirmation. That sucks. Well, so when it comes down to overall confirmation, there's a pullback confirmation. So when something breaks above the EMA, yeah, that's all great and all, and it continues to make higher highs. That's great and that's attractive. But something like looking at like drip, when it was at $8.70, we saw that there was a resistance at a certain price point, and the margin of profit that it had left to offer wasn't as attractive. So when something doesn't, again, it's not just about like when it gets the confirmation and it actively starts trending up, but it's also asking yourself, are you getting a good deal? And understanding the margin of profit that it has to offer and if that risk is worth it. So looking at drip and seeing that resistance that it had at $8.80, that was very valid, right? And then you being able to get in at 880, even if it did get that confirmation, it's like, yes, you know, you are able to potentially make some money off of this, but is that margin even worth taking? Is that risk worth taking? And that's something that you need to be asking yourself every single time about before you take a position. So, yeah. So let's see. So watch out for this real quick for those that got into Gush at the break of pattern. Watch out for the potential rejection. So set your alerts. If it continues to break up, then great, that can be in your favor. But if it ends up getting rejected, then this can be in the favor of those that are in drip. And guys, remember, we talked about the pattern on drip. Like we talked about the reversal, if it got that confirmation in the break of pattern, then that should have been where some of you would have covered profits. I know some of you got in at sub, what was it, 860 or 870. When I know that margin wasn't really worth it, but when there's a break of pattern like this, that you guys need to be able to take action very quickly. And if not, then unfortunately you're gonna, you know, then you bag hold. So just make sure you take that into consideration. So. Okay, so check cat. Okay, so cat is actively trending up. I would watch out for this SMA line. It recently just broke above it, so it's having a pullback confirmation. So that's good, but watch out for the earnings. It's a little bit too close to the earnings, so I wouldn't necessarily find it too attractive in that perspective. So, yeah. Can you, so Cosmos, can you stop, please? So again, you're writing all these messages about that one ticker. Is it, again, if you continue to write about the same thing, I'll block you both from this group or from the live stream and then from the Learn Plan Profit group. So again, your messages are irrelevant. You're not, yeah. All right, so AMD, again, we'll just watch out for the earnings that is going to be coming up in the next couple of days. It was actively trending up. It did receive a nice little pullback. I would wait for a little bit more of a break and a confirmation above the EMA. And as long as that continues, then again, just ask yourself if that margin of profit is worth it. And if so, then you can choose to take a position. So Bruce, we've done breakdowns, and if you've covered the ETF section, you will see the correlation between that I've talked about between /GC and JNUG and JDST, right? So there's a correlation from /GC and JNUG, and JDST is the inverse. So please be sure to, and it's not even 100% a 100% correlation, right? Sometimes we could see that /GC is pulling back, and sometimes, you know, JNUG is still actively trending up. But when you look at the 180-day analysis, and then you can look at the overall patterns of this ascending uptrend pattern, and then you look at JNUG and the ascending uptrend pattern that it recently had, right? There's that correlation between those two. It's never a perfect picture, so if you're looking for an exact like mirror image, that's not how they play out. So Alrighty, guys. I'm going to end up closing out the live stream right now. We're right around that 1 hour mark. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll keep you guys up to date with the rest of my position. So I'm going to just do this. All right, we are good to go. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you guys again for your time. You guys crack me up. Guys, again, that's why we're doing the technical analysis. Like, I really need you guys to yeah. All right, guys, hope you guys all have a good rest of your Thursday. I'll keep you guys up to date with my position and with the alerts that I have set up. Thank you. And again, please become familiar in doing your own technical analysis. Like, I'm here to assist, but there's way too many people asking to do a series of technical analysis on stocks that are still descending. Like, I just don't get it. That's something that you guys can all see. That I've talked about the patterns, like in the Learn Plan Profit course. I don't get it. Please complete the course so you understand what it is that we're talking about and understand the patterns that we're trading. So thank you guys again. Take it easy, team.